This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Ping.fm, and Upsnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Dr. Anne Marie Evers Show. The doctor is in the house. Do 2 affirmations and call me in the morning. Change your life one new thought at a time. Make your dreams come true. Attract that lasting, loving relationship, successful career, radiant health, and abundant wealth. Tune in to the Dr. Anne Marie Evers Show and learn positive ways to get what you want on www.contacttalkradio.com.
And welcome to the Dr. Anne Marie Evers Show, where dreams really can and do come true. And folks, that is so true. However, we have to put energy into our dreams and order them up and be specific before we can just expect dreams to come true. So we've got lots to share with you today, and my special guest is someone that is pretty well known to everyone in my circles and all over, and her name is Christine Enerson. And I've known her for many years, and we're working together on various ways, methods, etc., to help everyone with everyday life, as well as, we're dealing also with COVID-19 and some things with computers and things like that, and help us to be able to get through all that. So we're giving some ideas. Now, I wanted to tell you about Christine. Welcome to the show, Christine.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a long time since I joined you, and it's lovely to be back again.
Yes, and it's wonderful. And now you do something very wonderful, and I think people should know about it. And I would like you to tell them, please, about what you do with your weekend affirmations.
Yes, well, I send out weekend affirmations to anybody anywhere in the world who would like to join in. I need an email address and, of course, their name. And then I can put them on the list, and every Saturday they will receive an affirmation which has the master affirmation, followed by the short form affirmation, and then a little note from the coach as support. In addition to that, there's also information on a GoFundMe page, which we have going, so that you can send out and mail out to different people who need the book, which is on cancer. And also after that, there's information on the meetings that you have during the month, and it's followed by the books that you have, where they can be found, which is on Amazon if they want to buy them, and your websites. And I think that's just about it. So they get one on Saturday, and then they get a second one on Sunday. There's no choice on what they get. It comes out, and we hope that they will be very much enjoyed.
And we would love you folks to join in with us and know what we're doing and what we're up to. And I know Chris was saying the GoFundMe, we are, when we get GoFundMe money, we use it to mail out books to different hospitals and around the world. And also I've had a call from a clinic down there. What's it called? Again, Mayo Clinic, asking for copies of my book. So that was quite exciting. And so we're working on those things. And mailing, of course, is always, it takes money. And that is the 70 Ways to Cope with Chemo. That's one of my latest books. And that one I wrote while I was taking chemo in 2013. And it just tells the situations the things I use, I call them affirmation life tools that help me get through it. And it's helped a lot of people. And I gift those copies to the hospitals all over, and the social workers at the hospital send me people to talk to and counsel about how to get through these situations. And so anyway, that's the story on the books. And Affirmations Your Passport to Happiness, that was one of the first books I wrote way back in 1979 or 80, and I've been on Amazon for that long, and also it is on Affirmations Your Passport to Happiness. It covers pretty well everything, doesn't it, Chris?
Yeah, very much so. Oh, and before I forget, that if they would like to be put on the list and receive one on Saturday and another one on Sunday, they need to get their name and address to me. When I say address, it's email address, and to my email address, and that's CEINARSON at TELUS, TELUS.net. Mm-hmm. So CENARSON at TELUS.net.
Yeah, so actually your name is Christine Anerson. So what it is you have the C at the beginning. C is in Christine, right? Because sometimes people, it's hard to get the, I always ask for spelling because it's hard to get it sometimes. And that is great to know. So, and also we could invite people to our Tuesday. I was thinking about that, our Tuesday Zoom meeting.
Oh, yes. Well,
coming up tomorrow.
They need to get in touch with me so that I can send them again the information. They have to receive the invitation from me.
Yes, and then you're the one that sends out the invitation to join. And then we have quite a few people. That came from when we couldn't go in person to Silver Harbor, and we've been going there for the past 16 years every month. And so some of the people that don't have computers, I still do some personal meetings, but the people that don't have computers, we do this, and we have this Zoom that Chris sets up and sends around to people, and it's very good. It's about 40 minutes, and it really, really helps people. So we want to invite you for that too. So we got lots of invitations today.
And then if you want to, on Friday is the physical meeting, which is at the Silver Harbor, but they have to contact Holly first, otherwise they won't be admitted. So that
Holly is at the Silver Harbor, and what's her number again? I've had it. Oh, here it is. Yeah, Silver Harbor number is 604, of course, 980-2474, and you need to have your name on the list before the meeting, actually. And when you do that, then everything is fine. So we'd love to have you, and I'd love to see any one of you come by and say where you heard about it. It's so good because we want to get our message of hope out, and we believe that hope is help open people's eyes, and that's what we're doing. And I'm so glad to have Chris in my life for so many years, and we don't even know how many people we've reached, but it's really crawling up there pretty much, isn't it?
It sure is.
And then we do our nightly affirmation prayer too. You could maybe tell them a little bit about that, Chris.
Well, that's at 11:11, which is the angel time, and we say a regular prayer there, and we also talk to anybody in our minds who would like to join in, and they say the prayer too. But we also have another prayer that's nice, isn't it, too, which is a prayer for a friend. Shall I read you that one?
Yes, we'd love to hear that. Yes, please.
It's a prayer for a friend. I said a prayer for you today, and God must have heard. I felt the answer in my heart, although he spoke no word. I did not ask for wealth or fame. I knew you would not mind. I asked him to send treasures of a far more lasting kind. I ask that he be near you at the start of each new day, to grant you health, blessings, and friends to share your way. I ask for happiness for you in all things great and small, but it was for his loving care for you, my friend, I prayed most of all. And it says, author unknown.
Lovely, absolutely.
And that's in your book, Affirmations Your Passport to Happiness, which, of course, is on Amazon.
Yes.
And all your books can be bought at Amazon.
That's right, yeah. I have, I think, about 16 on there now, and I was working on an angel book, but I put that on hold for a while because it's been a little bit hectic with trying to keep up with everything. So anyway, but today, folks, I have Chris with me, and we want to talk a little bit about our affirmation program. that has been so popular. And this program actually is made up of 3 different sections. And the first section is the 5 W's of affirmation. And the second one is the 5 building blocks. And the third one is the 5 physical senses. So we put that all together and made it into a program, and I call it Affirmations Work 08. That's my name for it. And but we want to go and say exactly what we start off with, saying what affirmations are. Now, people, if you ask someone, what is an affirmation, they have all kinds of answers. They might say, oh, it's this or that. And I remember one time, it would be quite a few years ago, I saw 3 or 4 men sitting out in front of a cafe, and they were having coffee. So I had a clipboard, and I said, excuse me, gentlemen, would you mind just answering a couple questions for me? And they said, oh, yeah, what would you like to know? And I said, what is an affirmation? And one fellow says to me, well, that's when you get married. I said, well, that's true. It is an affirmation. And then another one says it's something to do with the government. And another one says, well, it's when you become a Canadian citizen. And it was really interesting. And then somebody said, I know what it is. It's something you want to have happen in your life. And I said, you're right. But isn't that amazing? So people have different ideas what they are. But to Chris and I, and what we teach are affirmations are, tools that we can use. So now the first W of the affirmations is what? So what is an affirmation? Well, here is our definition. Affirmations are similar to prayers, wishes, or goals, only they're more structured and specific. To affirm is to make firm, and simply put, the basis of all affirmations is positive thinking. And you know what? Have you ever had a birthday cake with candles blowing and blown out the candles and made a wish? If so, you've done an affirmation, and it's as simple as that, isn't it, Chris?
It certainly is.
And it could be called your order to the universe, too. And when you're making your order to the universe, that would be a master affirmation saying exactly what you want. Now, the next W, there's 5 W's. The first is what, and then where. So after deciding what you truly and honestly want, you write it out on a piece of paper and you date it and sign it. And you can read this over and say this affirmation anytime. You can do it while you're waiting at a dentist's office, waiting for a friend for lunch, when we can get back to having lunch with friends, and all these things. And then when can you do them? Well, I like to have people do them twice in the morning and the evening at night before you go to sleep. But you can do your affirmations anytime you wish, really. And if you're sitting in a traffic jam, you could even do that as long as you keep an eye on the traffic, of course. That goes without saying. And then who can do affirmations? The process of doing properly done affirmations is no respecter of persons and works for every person the same. And Chris, remember your mother-in-law? She was doing affirmations. How old was she?
Yeah, I think she was about 103 at the time.
103, yeah. And then her affirmations then were mostly for her family's health and her health, weren't they, at that point? Yeah. But so that's a person 103, and I have a little girl. She's 7, and she's so cute. And she came up to me one day and says, I was in the store, and she says, you don't look very happy. And I said, oh, I'm trying to do so-and-so. And she says, well, you got to do your affirmations. Now say you're happier and happier. And I just laughed. I thought it was so cute. I just hugged her and said, and of course that was before COVID, so we could hug people. So anyway, and then who does them? That covers that. And then you might say, why do them in the first place? What do you think you do them in the first place for, Chris?
Well, obviously, because you want things to happen.
Yes, and you do them, consistently, and we'll tell you about that a little later on in the program. Now, and then that's the 5 W's of affirmations. And then we have the 5 powerful building blocks. And, the first building block, and most important, is forgiveness. Because no program of health and no program of happiness is full of all kinds of anger and frustration. It doesn't work. So true forgiveness heals even the deepest of wounds. You know, that's so true. Think about it. Who do you need to forgive right here and right now? I could think of a couple people. Can you?
Well, I even forgive myself for different things, too.
Oh, you know, forgiving self is one of the most important and I might say quite difficult to do, isn't it, to forgive yourself? And remember, coulda, shoulda, woulda, why didn't I? Don't worry about all that. It's in the past, you know, and it's gone. So we live in the present. So we live today. And I tell people that are so unhappy about what's going on in the world, I say, the serenity prayer. That's what I use so many times a day. I told a lady about it from overseas yesterday. And what you do is, you know, I think everyone knows it, but just in case she wanted me to say it, was, Lord, help me to change the things I can, and help me know that to change the things I can and not the things I cannot. And grant me the wisdom to know the difference. And that's so important, isn't it, Chris?
It sure is.
Yeah, the wisdom to know the difference, because we can't go out and change what's happening in our world and our leaders and everyone, but we can send them prayers and energy and ask for them to have divine wisdom and divine order in their decisions. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I certainly do.
Yeah. And so forgiveness. Now, I remember the story about this lady. She was sick and angry, and actually her husband had left her in a strange country with no money, and she was pregnant. And she said, I went to bed hating him. I woke up hating him. She says, I hated him so much I couldn't swallow hardly, she said. And then when she went to bed, she wasn't feeling good. She was in bed, and she got up to go to the washroom. And she had the radio turned on. She turned on the radio, and she heard this preacher saying, you need to forgive. And he was a real cute guy from down south. It's your time. You need to forgive. And so anyway, she listened to him, and she thought, forgive? I can't forgive him. He's such a miserable guy. He left me alone here, no money, and pregnant. That's a pretty bad situation to be in, and you can't speak the language. But a beautiful, wonderful lady from the church helped her out and got her going, and she actually got better, and she had her baby, got a job, and met a fine gentleman. And then her husband asked for a divorce, and she was happy to accommodate him. And but what she said was, when she started saying, I forgive you, you miserable so-and-so. And she said it with hate. And she said, I kept saying it. And pretty soon she said, I didn't need to use those words. I just said, I forgive you. And it started to work. So forgiveness is very powerful. Don't you agree?
I certainly do, yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
I know we all have things.
All the time.
Pardon me?
I said I do it frequently.
Yeah. And forgiving ourselves, like you say, that's about the worst one.
You know, there's something that you mentioned to me. This was a long time ago, and when I find it really hard to forgive, I would fill a cup up with water and go to the sink, and then, as I was saying, forgive, I would push it, just empty it down the sink, and I knew I could not get it back. And that was one of the things that helped me the most.
That was so good, and I remember that one. Yeah, that's where you get a cup, and I wrote, I did it too with Al. You know, remember Al, my first husband? He was told by the doctor if he quit drinking and smoking and took his medication, he could live. But he decided not to, so he passed away when he was around 50. And so I was so angry with him because he left me with owing money and kids, and here I was, you know, not knowing what to do. And in real estate, you don't get a paycheck every month, you know, you just get one when you sell something. And I thought, what am I going to do? And so I put my anger at Al, and I typed it up and I pasted it on a cup. And I took that cup and I went and sat in the chair, and I closed my eyes and I visualized all my anger and my frustration going from my eyes, ears, nose, and mouth into that cup. And I went to, I think, Starbucks or something that had a soup cup, sort of, that was a big cup, and so I could get everything into it. And then I'd sit there and visualize this happening until it became so real. And then I'd pick up the cup, take it to the sink, and like you say, slowly dump the water down the drain. And as I said that, I thought, can I ever get that water back? And I thought, no, I can't. Just like what I was emptied out, all the emotional things I had, the anger, it all went down the sink. And then I did that for 21 days. Okay, I always say do it for 21 days, remember, Chris, because I think it takes 21 days to make a habit, they say, and it's a good thing to, I had a little calendar and I marked it off. So I started doing this, and I did it for, about 17 days, and nothing happened. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I'm emptying out a cup, a grown woman sitting emptying out a cup, and thinks that this is going to help. And then I said, no, I made a deal with myself with the calendar. I'm going to mark it off. I've got 3 or 4 more days. And so I did. And on the 19th day, I started to feel, I feel a little better somehow. I don't feel so angry. And then on the 20th day, I thought, hey, it wasn't all that bad. And on the 21st day, it, as if by magic, it just lifted from me. And I was so excited, and I went back to my real estate office, and this woman said to me, how come you're so happy? Your husband just died. Didn't you love him? And I looked at her, and I felt like doing, saying, get out of here, but I didn't. I just looked at her, and I went right back to the sink and the cup, and I put my guilt for feeling happy, and I emptied that out for 21 days, and it really worked. So, and this is exactly what you did, too, because I remember you doing it. You dumped it out, didn't you? Just exactly like I'm saying.
Yeah. It seems very important to do before you do anything else.
Yes, it is. And, not only that, I remember one of the ladies wrote me a letter, and she said that she was taking chemo, and her husband had an affair with her best friend, and she was so angry at him, she took the cup and put, all really not nice words on the cup about him and put his name, and then she said she went and did exactly what I told her. And she said when she started, it felt like she tried to carry the cup to the sink. And she said, honestly, it felt so heavy when I took it from my chair after doing the exercise and took it to the sink. She said it was so heavy I couldn't hardly carry it. And then she says she kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And she says, well, you know what? On the 19th or 20th day, she thought, this is great. It just lifted from her, and she felt like she was carrying potato chips instead of these heavy 10 bags of potatoes. So that worked for her. And you know what? I heard from her recently, and that's years ago, and she's still with the same gentleman, and they're happy. They got grandkids, and I don't know if they're happy, but she said they're still together, and they love each other. So that's interesting, isn't it, how that can work?
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and that was one of the ladies. And there is a video about her, too, that I have. If anyone listening would like to hear some short videos that this wonderful man, Michael, made with me. And one it's called Affirmation Life Tools. And if you go to AnnMarieEvers.com, and you'll see, there's one on different life tools that we have created. And Chris has helped me all along with these all through the years, and coming up with different ideas, and it's just great. So you can listen to them. They're very short. They're about 3 minutes long, and they're colorful and they're fun. So please check those videos out. You'll really love them. And I talked to someone that just sadly lost his wife, and I told him we do have some for helping with grief, too, on that. So anybody listening, just go to AnnMarieEvers.com, and then you'll tell you. I think you can reach them on Vimeo, I think it is, and also on YouTube. But the best way is to go to my website, and then you can get them right there. So anyway, that's one thing. So it's so powerful. You know what I mean? To forgive, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So anyway, now we're on to the second building block, I guess.
Oh, yes, and that's thoughts. I love that one. Thoughts are very powerful. You know what? As one thinketh, so he becomes or she becomes. And like Michael says, thoughts attract people and situations that resonate with the original thought. And that's true when you think about it, And thought is always tempting to find a pathway through which to express itself and create what we want or what we're desiring, what we're affirming for. And, thoughts are very powerful. And I believe, and I know you believe with me too, we believe that we create with every thought we think and every word we speak. So how are we instructing our subconscious mind? And we'll talk about that in the next few minutes. So, and ask yourself, what are your thoughts? And what are you thinking about primarily? And they say what you think about primarily is what you have in your life. And, people that say, oh, this is so bad. And I have to watch myself, too, during these days because there's a lot of added stress to not get discouraged and start complaining, because when we complain, I think what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up for more, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's easy to do, isn't it, Chris?
It is, yes.
Yeah, it is. It's easy to fall into that. But what we're teaching is to try and take the upper road and try and be gentle with ourselves, too. I know people, myself included, that beat myself up. Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I say that? Why didn't I? And it's very it's not very becoming to do that, is it?
No words like that. We need to be as positive as we can, and that helps to influence other people too.
Yes, it is. And you talk to somebody and you say, hello, how are you? Oh, I'm feeling terrible. And then you think, oh, my goodness. And then they go on and on. Or you talk to somebody and says, oh, hi, how are you doing? And at least we know we're all going through things. And somebody said something to me the other day, and it was quite interesting. She said, people say we're all it's Carol Matthews. She said, people say we're all in the same boat. She said, I don't agree with that. She said, I believe we're all on the same ocean, but we're all in different boats. And I believe that, too, because some people will not, they're just so terrified and full of fear, and other people aren't, or to that degree. Maybe they might be worried and that, but not to the degree of making them sick. You know what I mean? So we're the captain of our own little ship, and we're up in the water, and we have to keep going and help others to keep going, not only our family, but other people as well. And
my husband used to talk about this fellow that they had who they worked together with, and he'd come in and he'd be looking really good and happy and healthy, and then they'd say to him, oh, you don't look very good. And then by the end of the day, he wasn't feeling well, and they were just teasing him. There was nothing more than that. But by the end of the day, he was feeling terrible.
Yeah, that is the power of the mind.
Yes,
if we
absolutely.
only knew how much power that is in our minds, and when we use it to the good of all, that's what really helps. Use it to the good of all, which, of course, includes us, too. And, I wanted to say the story of the cat. One day I was selling real estate, and what happened is this lady said, I can't have a place that has cats. I'm allergic to cats. And I was showing her different places. So we went into this one place, and she went into the bedroom, and I was in the kitchen or answering the phone or something, and she come running out, and she said, I told you no cats. And I said, what do you mean no cats? And she says, I told you I didn't want any cats, and I'm so upset. And so I said, well, there are no cats in here. Oh, yes, there is. And she says, look over there right on the bed. And I went over and I picked it up and hit the stuffed cat. But you know what she went through? When she thought that was a cat, her eyes started to water, her nose was dripping. She said, see, I'm allergic, and she's laying on the Chesterfield gasping for breath. And I said, this is not even a cat. But you see what her mind did? It created all this stuff to make it happen, and all the things happened, but it doesn't. It was just ridiculous because it was not a stuffed cat. It was a cat, toy cat, not a real cat. That's for sure. So anyway, that tells you, and what about the mind as far as I'm concerned. Is the mind is the captain of the ship, and we actually have one mind with two interrelated things that go on, and one is the conscious mind. That's you and I talking and people listening, and then there's the subconscious mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is actually I think the subconscious mind is the crew. So I look at it that the conscious mind is like the captain of a ship, and the subconscious mind is the crew. Now, if you're on a boat or something, and I was one time, and there was another vessel approaching, and I watched the fellow go, and he pulled something out, and he had like a microphone or whatever, and he said something, and I could hear the reply, aye, aye, sir. Immediately, you could feel the boat beginning to turn. Now, my point is that if your conscious mind is the captain of your ship and you give it orders and it starts to work, then it says that, it is working. And what happens is the crew or the subconscious mind, they go together to make it happen, whatever it is to happen, and it's so powerful. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, you've told me many times. And
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think it's so powerful to use the power of your subconscious mind. And, my sister Darlene, you know her, I tell you, she's really good at visualization. She'll say, or smelling. I said to her something, I was describing something. She said, "Stop it, I can smell it. It's a terrible smell." I said, "You can't smell it. You're in Nanaimo. I'm in North Vancouver." And so it's amazing how some people are just really into that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and so then and then of course we go to affirmations. Is the first building block is forgiveness. The second one is thoughts. The third one is mind power. And the fourth one is creative visualization. So right now we talked about affirmations already and the subconscious mind. And now the next one we'll talk about is creative visualization. You know something about that, don't you, Chris?
I suppose we do.
Yeah, about creating, your mind is so powerful. And, create and put yourself in a mood where you can see that. Then you bring in your 5 physical senses. You see what you're affirming. You hear people talking, and you feel. So you smell. Like I like to smell roses, and then for the other one, for taste, you can take a drink of water or visualize biting into a juicy apple, and that really works. And so you have 5. You have actually 5 W's of affirmations, and you have the 5 building blocks and the 5 physical senses, which makes it powerful. Yes?
Right. Yeah. And unfortunately, I didn't get my paper. My printer is not doing very well at the moment.
oh, don't worry about that. Yeah, we'll just carry on talking. Now, so really, folks, it's not really hard to learn how to do affirmations, and you find a really nice place to sit and relax, and you can, just order up whatever you want to order up. And also, I have some things that I always mention. We have to the good of all parties concerned. Every time I do an affirmation, I stress that we say to the good of all concerned, to the good of all parties concerned. I used to work for a lawyer, so I got the all parties concerned. And then you can do affirmations. One lady said to me, "Oh, I don't want to do affirmations because I'm afraid they might work and I wouldn't like them." And I said, well, just add to the good of all parties concerned, and you're one of the parties, so if it's not to your highest good, it won't happen. And she got busy, and I tell you, that lady was affirming like crazy and getting all kinds of wonderful results.
Well, that's good. And then we have to say thank you in advance, don't we?
Yes, and
thank you.
Important to say thank you in advance. And thank you, and be grateful. Live in an attitude of gratitude. And my daughter, Erin, when she was about 10, she kind of taught me a lesson. I wanted to do something, and I said, "We have to go do this now, sweetheart." She said, "No." She says, "I have to go and do this for so-and-so." But I said, "But we need to go." And she said, "But, Mother, they already thanked me." Now, imagine a kid 10 years old saying they already thanked me. She felt obligated, and I thought, my goodness, if she feels obligated like that, that's a good thing to know, So it's important to say thank you all the time anyway. And gratitude is one thing that sometimes people forget to say, and to say to your spouse, you're a wonderful person, I love you, and not when you have to or anything, just out of the blue. And you'll be amazed what happens, because people like to hear good things, don't they?
They sure do, yeah. Especially me.
Especially you. And, there's so many wonderful things. And, folks, if you really want to find out how to do affirmations, Chris and I are talking about putting together a course that will be, together and actually tell people exactly how to do an affirmation. Because to write an affirmation, and I think what we'll do is, if you'd like to take a moment to get a pen and paper, folks, we'll go for a short break, and we'll be right back, and we can tell you exactly how to write affirmations that really work. So we'll be right back after the short break.
When was the last time you read a book that has created a profound impact on your life? This book is touching deep into the hearts of readers worldwide and empowering people with new hope to conquer over a life of despair, loneliness, and sadness. This book is called Affirmations Your Passport to Happiness by Dr. Anne-Marie Evers. In this book, you'll learn the power of affirmations, creating visualization, goal setting, positive thinking, self-esteem, learn how to attract the perfect, lasting, successful career, relationship, and have optimal health. To order your copy, log on to www.affirmations-doctor.com or email Anne-Marie Evers at shore.ca and get your passport to happiness. Affirmations, Your Passport to Happiness, the book that's giving people positive control over their lives once again.
And hello, we're back. Are you there, Chris?
Yep, I'm here.
You're back, and welcome back to the Dr. Anne-Marie Evers Show, where dreams really can and do come true. And now we're going to tell you exactly how to write an affirmation that really works. So first of all, you find a comfortable place to sit down and just relax and just think about yourself and what you need to know or be or do at the time, and then just decide what you want. And then when you decide what you want, get a piece of paper and right at the top of the page, write Master Affirmation. Now, when you say Master Affirmation, that means that is the affirmation you put your whole whatever you want. You can describe what you want in detail. Like, for instance, one lady did an affirmation. She came and showed me, and it was that she would drive across Canada in a yellow convertible. And I thought, anyway, she did that affirmation. Then she came back to me and said, well, it didn't work. I didn't get that car I was ordering up. And I said, let's read your affirmation again. So we did. And I said, but nowhere do you say that you're the owner of the car. And you just say you're driving across Canada in a yellow convertible. That did happen, but it wasn't yours. So you have to be very, very careful that, you order up what you want and then make sure that it happens for you. So anyway, what you'll do is have Master Affirmation, and you start off with I, your name, whatever it is, a first and last name. People always ask me about that. First and last name is important. And then say, deserve. You have to feel you deserve it. And now have.
Or am.
Now have whatever, or am, whatever you want to be. And that's what you do when you're ordering up, yes. And then I deserve and now have or am. And then put what you want in there, exactly what you want. Let's take an idea of a career. So you might say, I deserve and now have the perfect, lasting, successful career for me, wherein I earn or I receive in excess of so many dollars per month, net or gross. Be sure you say net or gross. One lady did that, and she did it gross, or she didn't say anything, and it went to gross. And guess what? She made exactly what she put down and a little bit more, but she didn't. After she took off all the expenses, it really didn't work out that well. So anyway, she decided that she would. So anyway, this is how it goes. I, your name, deserve and now have, and then the perfect, lasting, successful career for me, wherein I earn, and then you could say like around or in excess. I like to say in excess of a figure there. You say, don't make it like ridiculously high, but don't make it ridiculously low either. Make it something that is believable to you. The secret is something that is believable to you. And then after that, you say deserve and now have. And then you could say in the perfect location. And then I would say something about the people that you're working with, that they're ethical and that they're nice people and your coworkers, and make the picture in your mind. Make it vivid. Make it colorful. Make it like it's really, really happening. And then you can say in the area of, wherever you want it to the area of, and then say where I am happy and fulfilled, and my employers appreciate my wonderful work and reward me accordingly. Anything like that. Like, Chris, when you were looking for a job too, you were looking for people that were nice to work with, weren't you?
Obviously. Yeah, it makes such a difference when you enjoy your work.
It sure does. And we had one lady that she did an affirmation, and she said, she came to our workshop, and she says, I just don't understand it. My affirmation's not working. I've done everything you said. I read it over. I've done this. And I went through all the things she did. So did Michael. We went through, and we said, we don't know. I really don't know why it's not happened. And so then she says, well, can we read it? And she's had to the good of all parties and everything. And so when we read it, I thought, well, I don't know what to say here. Neither did Michael. And as she was going out the door, she said, I really want that perfect part-time position. And I said, get back in here and let's talk. What did you just say? And she repeated it, and I said, but sweetheart, there's nowhere on your affirmation does it ever say part-time. So she said, oh, so she added part-time. And we were amazed, both Michael and I, because she got a job just what she wanted with wonderful lawyers. The hours were great. The money was great. And she was so happy. And just imagine, part-time. Isn't that one word or two words? It doesn't matter. Those two words or one word were keeping her affirmation from happening. So it's very important to check yourself before you go in. Have you said exactly what you want? And one woman was doing an affirmation for a grant. She was working for a grant for I think it was, some people that she was helping. And she kept saying, she went to bed, I have my grant, I have my grant, I have my grant. And so guess what? She married a guy named Grant, and they got married. So she got the grant, but it wasn't the grant she was thinking about,
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is. And that's
I haven't heard that one before.
Oh, no, she told me about that one. And then, so affirmations, I say, when properly done, always work. Now, one lady said to me, oh, I did an affirmation. I did it for 2 days. I said, oh, how? Congratulations. I said, did it work? And she said, no, affirmations don't work for me. And I said, well, now let me ask you a question. Her name was Liz. I said, Liz, let me ask you a question. If you were going to try out for the, competition for running or whatever, would you practice one day and then say, that's it? She said, of course not. I practice every day. I said, well, when you do your affirmations, you repeat them every day, repetition, repetition, repetition. And so that's what she was doing. So, everybody has their different take on affirmations, but when the stories that work, you really make you think, wow, and sometimes affirmations just blow me away with what happens in my life. And, a lot of people say to me, oh, no, I want to finish this first, and then I'll tell you about what they say about, so anyway, so you have your affirmation. It says, I, your name, deserve. You have to feel you deserve it, and now have. Make it present. Don't say a date, because some people say dates, but I don't do that, because if you do and it comes that date and it hasn't happened, then your faith is gone. But if you say to the good of all, and if you say, I, your name, deserve and now have, whatever it is, to the good of all parties concerned, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then you date and sign it. You write your date down and the signature,
you make
and
it like
you print
a
it off.
Don't you?
Pardon?
So you're making it like a contract.
Oh, yeah, you're making it a firm and binding contract with you, your higher self, God, universal mind, whoever you believe in. You're making a really a deal with. And so I say, and you date and sign it. And so it's so important to do that. And then when you get that you talk about when you send out your weekender affirmations, you actually mention short form affirmations. And then when people are really busy and they haven't got time to do it all, I just say, read it over very quickly to yourself and then just do a short form affirmation. Now, a short form affirmation consists of several keywords taken from your master affirmation. So if you were looking for, affirming for a perfect career, you might have saying, perfect lasting career, me now. And if you say me now, you're saying now, happening right way. And if you say me, it's important to bring it to you to say me, because that makes it happen. And make sure it has the 3 P's. Affirmations need to be personal, positive, and present tense. 3 P's. And make sure you never do any affirmation to hurt or take from anyone. Affirmations are always done to the good of all parties concerned. Now, when you get this beautiful affirmation made and it looks really good and everything, then you can put it in plastic and make it colorful, and when people do for relationships, what they do is I tell them, take a picture, not a picture, but a photograph or something, of a person you don't know who they are, just maybe somebody in a group or something, you like the looks of him, put that picture at the top and your picture next door, and then say, do your master affirmation for the relationship. So you say, I, your name, deserve and now have a loving, lasting, happy relationship with the perfect man, woman, whatever you're affirming for me. And then you go ahead and say the things. We like to do things together. You get into that. And I'm going to be doing a workshop coming up on relationships in the next month or two. And by popular demand, I keep getting asked to do it. And this is what I teach them. And but you don't ever order anybody up, because one lady did an affirmation, and there was a man that was presenting with me, and she really liked him. So she said, I want to show you my affirmation. She showed me there's a picture of him and her, and then this wonderful affirmation about how they were going to be married and all this. She had it all figured out. And I said to her, but this doesn't work. You can't do this. And she said, why not? And I said, have you talked to him about it? Oh, no, he doesn't know about it. I said, well, you cannot take a person and order up against his will. You say for the perfect man for you or woman for you, and you say perfect means perfect to you. Nobody's perfect, but you might say the most suitable man or woman for you. Wouldn't you say, Chris?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And quite a few people in our family, good Lord, I know me, and not only me, but my daughter ordered up her husband, my son ordered up his wife, my sister ordered up her husband, and my niece ordered up her husband. So imagine all that in one family. So, and Darlene, my sister, calls me one great big affirmation.
Actually, one of the ones that you did, and you took this picture and you did a support affirmation. Remember, you got support affirmations.
Yes.
And you did it for your son because he was looking for somebody.
Actually,
and,
yes.
And the picture of the girl was very, very, it was just a generic picture, but it sure looked like the girl that he met.
It did, didn't it? That was kind of in my memory bank, but I didn't think of that. But that is so true. And for Erin, too, I did the same thing for her. And I do what I call a support affirmation. They have to first the people ask me, can you do, like people wanting to sell property might say, they're doing an affirmation. They might say, can you help? It's good to do a support affirmation, but you need to have them do the work. And many, many years ago, I remember somebody said that, she said, something about my aura. So I went to an aura reader, and she said to me, what do you do before you go to bed? And I said, get ready for bed. What else? And she said, well, no, I asked you a question. She said, what do you do before you go to bed? And I just said, well, I don't know what you mean. What do you do with a pen? A pen? And then I said, oh, yeah, I do. I have a little book, and I write down, Christine needs this, and Donald needs that, and Susie needs this. And I said, I write it down, and I affirm for these people. And I had about 30 people on this little book. And she looked at it, and she said, she said something that really hurt, but it was the best thing she could have said. She said, who appointed you to write these people's earthly exams? And I thought, oh, my gosh, just like she slapped me, you know what I mean? But that was the best thing. So I gave them notice. I phoned them and I said, okay, I'm not doing it anymore after the end of the month, and you're going to have to do it yourself because I can't keep on doing it. And so then I get phone calls.
So that wasn't support ones, really.
No, they weren't support. No, it was just like I was
trying. You were doing it for them.
Yeah. And you see, that my point is that we can't do other people's work for them either. And what anybody listening, a dear mother, anyone listening, mostly the mothers, we always want the best for our kids. And what I thought would be best for my daughter was not the man she chose, and the same with my son. Not that there was anything wrong, but I just thought they would be more suitable with the others. But they didn't choose that. So we can just order up that they do the support affirmation, because you've already got what they said, and that's a good point, Chris, because you've got all what they want, and they can say she is loving, kind, and whatever. And then if you can't order up that they have something within them that you don't have, you know what I mean? You've got to have that too. You can't be selfish and miserable. If you're ordering up somebody that isn't, you have to have the same qualities, and that's what I tell people. So, but affirmations really are very, very powerful, and they work. And that's why I always say affirmations, when properly done, always work, and they do. So now I want to talk a little bit about, that's the affirmations, and if you have any questions, you can always go to AnnMarieEvers.com and look at the affirmations I have there. And also I have another website, www.selfimprovementtalkradio.com. It's quite a mouthful. It's www.selfimprovementtalkradio.com. And if you go there, you can, there's a lot of things like that, a lot of affirmations on there and really good information. And but I wanted to talk about the affirmation life tools. But before I do that, I'll do that right afterwards. I just want to tell you, because so many people have asked me, and just recently as well, how I ever got started doing affirmations. And it's a story that's very, very dear to my heart. My son was born many years ago with crooked feet. His feet were so crooked that, honestly, they almost touched his leg. And we had a restaurant at the time, and he would sit in his high chair, and this customer used to come in quite a bit and talk. And so he came in one day, and he says, "What's wrong with a little guy?" And I told him the story. I said, well, we took him to the doctor, but the doctor says it'll cost him thousands of dollars in those days. It was really something. And not only that, I said there's like a situation where it has to be done before he gets too old or it won't work. So we're under a time frame. And I sort of told him what. He asked me questions. I answered pretty well. Then he went away. He came back about a week later, and he said, "I've got news for you, Mrs. Evers." And I said, "Oh, you do?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "If you have your son ready next Tuesday, Mr. Gauchi will pick you up and take you to Spokane to the Shriners Hospital and fix your son's feet." And I said, "How much does that cost?" And he says, "You don't understand. They do that. They handle children and where they have problems, so they do it. They don't charge." And I said, "Oh my gosh!" So I was so excited. And I thought, because even when I was saying, I'd look at David and say, "David, you will walk." And I'd say, and he'd smile at me. Of course, 8 months old, he probably smile at anybody, but like as if he agreed with it. And it's amazing. So anyway, then everything fell into place. And then my mother had said, "Poor Anne, she's lost it. That kid will be in a wheelchair all his life," is what people were saying. And no, I didn't believe it. I just kept saying, "No, you will walk. David, you will walk." And I kept saying, "Please, God, angels, anybody help us get this to work." And that happened, and that made a believer out of me, because, how could that happen? And so that's how I got started with affirmations, and that's why one reason, that was the biggest, most important affirmation I think that I ever did,
And the result of that is, I would never have known there had been any problem at all. I mean, he walks just like everybody else.
Yeah, and you know David too at that time too, but when he was really young, of course, he had to wear braces on his feet and have this, different things like that, which was kind of, frustrating to have to do, but it worked. And the thing is, it worked. So I felt kind of bad I had to leave him in the hospital because in those days you couldn't even hold them. You just held the baby up, and then we drive down there, and I'd cry all the way down and cry all the way back. And Al, my husband, he says, well, that's not very good. You just go down there and you cry all the time. And I said, well, I don't want to leave him there. And so anyway, that was a really hard part. So, and about 2 years ago, I guess, I said to David, I want to meet with you and talk to you about something. He said, should I be worried about it? And I said, no, not worried. Just I don't want anyone there, just you and me. He said, okay. So I told him the story. And I said, do you ever feel resentful to me about being, anything like that? And he says, no. He said, when I look back, I think I had a really good childhood with you. He said, Dad drank too much, but he said, honestly, but he said, you did everything you could to keep our family together. And I thought that was so good because I was carrying the burden that maybe I made the wrong decision. But how could one make the wrong decision except it hurt him? You know what I mean? It was painful. But to suffer pain when he was a kid to be able to walk the rest of his life, I think that was the right decision, don't you?
Yep, it definitely was.
And you would never know it to know him, and you knew him when he wasn't that old. He was about 10 when you met him, wasn't he, or so?
I don't remember him at that time. I just remember him when he's been okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember him being in braces or anything like that. I really don't think we knew you then. Or if we did, I didn't come to the house to see him.
Yes, and I know, and that is like it's so powerful that sometimes when I think back, I think how could I even doubt anything, any affirmation after a big one like that? That's about the biggest one anyone could have. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So anyway,
and now when you do the affirmations, how many times do you say the master affirmation?
Oh, good. Thank you. That's very good question. I would say 7 times. I'd like to do it 7 times, but if you're short of time, folks, you do it 3 with feeling and energy. It works really good, too. But the secret is to have what you want written out so you can read it because, you see, you're bringing in your 5 senses, too, aren't you? When you think about it. You see it, you can hear the paper rattling, you can feel it. You don't want to taste it, but you take a drink of water. And then what's the other one? You could have some perfume. Sometimes on my affirmation, you know what I put on? I put on a mustard seed. You know that? Remember that? Take a mustard seed and put it like a plastic on my affirmation. And that says if you have enough faith, the story about faith, you can do whatever it says in the Bible there. So I do that, and that encourages my faith. I think I did one with you and put a mustard seed on one time a long time ago.
Yeah, you did, but I can't remember which one it was now.
Yeah, well, it goes on and on. It's been a long
And you've
time.
got so many books that have all these affirmations that you've done.
Oh, yeah.
And I must say I haven't been so good as to do them that way, but...
No, well, you and I when you were authoring with me on Affirmations Your Passport to Prosperity, and then I have one Affirmations Your Passport to Relationship, and Affirmation Life Tools. Yeah, there's so many of them. It's hard to remember them all at once,
Mhm.
Yeah, but they're all on Amazon, folks. You can check them out, and you can also go to my website, www.AnneMarieEvers.com. So anyway, now I want to talk a little bit about Affirmation Life Tools. What is your favorite one?
Oh my goodness, I'm not sure. There's several of them, but
I thought you liked the
yours.
toothbrush.
What was that?
You liked the toothbrush exercise, didn't you?
Oh, right. Yes, I do.
Can you tell us about that?
So, well, when I go to the bathroom to clean my teeth, and it's generally morning and night, then I look in the mirror and say the words and clean my teeth and at the same time, and make an affirmation out of it all.
Yes, and that really works. And also the stop sign, you use that, don't you?
Yes, but not so frequently. I like emptying the cup.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a lot of things that I need to do so that I empty things out.
Well, that could be. who knows, eh? Yeah, so anyway, I think that we're just about out of time here, Chris, so we will say thank you very much, folks, for listening, and thank you, Chris, for being my special guest on the show. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, and really it was delightful, and if we can help one person, it's great. So remember, AnneMarieEvers.com, and you can send me an email, AnneMarieEvers@shaw.ca, and also please remember to send your email to Chris at C, as in Christine, Einarson, EINARSON,
at TELUS.net.
TELUS.net, yes. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.
And that's name and email address. Otherwise, I won't be able to put you on the list.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, and God bless.
Well, if you have a problem and you don't know where to go, just dial up the internet and listen to the show. Tune in to Dr. Evers, she'll lift your spirits high. Her affirmations lead you from the darkness to the light. Say thank you, thank you, thank you, believe with all your soul. When properly done, they always work, you know. Oh, just say an affirmation. Love, health, and abundance beginning to show. Oh, just say an affirmation. Show your gratitude and the blessings will flow. Oh, just say an affirmation. Love, health, and abundance beginning to show. Oh, just say an affirmation. Show your gratitude and the blessings will flow.